Here is a list of 9 popular American TV shows. Which one do you consider the absolute best? The first one is Friends. It is arguably the most classic sitcom in television history, with an IMDb rating of 8.8. The show follows 6 friends with very different personalities through over a decade of daily life, friendships, and romances. The humor is natural, warm, and comforting. There is no over-the-top drama or dark storytelling here, just a sense of companionship. The character development is incredible. If I had to use one word to describe it, that word would be real. They feel just like our own friends, complete with their own flaws and lovable quirks. It is not just a show, but a piece of nostalgia for generations of viewers. It is perfect for rewatching whenever you need to decompress, and I would rate it an S-tier overall. The second one is Prison Break. It premiered in 2005 and became a global phenomenon, currently holding an 8.3 rating on IMDb. The first season was intense and thrilling, with brilliant, high-IQ storytelling. The premise of a brother getting framed and the other brother intentionally getting locked up to break him out was masterfully plotted. But starting from season 2, it all went downhill. The logic fell apart, the character development suffered, and it lost that initial magic. The later seasons felt like they were just dragging on, with tons of filler. It had a legendary start, but it couldn't sustain its quality, a classic case of starting strong and fizzling out. The first season gets an S, but the rest were pretty disappointing, so I'd give it an overall B. The third one is Yellowstone. It is a Western family drama that really hits the spot, with an 8.6 rating on IMDb. It tends to attract a lot of male viewers, focusing on a ranching family in Montana as they fight to protect their land from outside corporate interests. The show has a powerful vibe, sweeping cinematography, and intense conflict. It balances family drama with some hardcore, gritty moments. The lead character is incredibly charismatic, and the pacing is fast and satisfying. It's the kind of show that gets you hooked instantly. On the downside, the later seasons get a bit formulaic, and some of the conflicts feel a little too simplistic or heavy-handed, lacking some depth. I'd give it an overall A. The fourth one is Game of Thrones, with a 9.2 rating on IMDb. It is no exaggeration to say that when I first watched it, I couldn't stop. I pulled so many all-nighters for this show. There are 8 seasons in total, and the first 7 were honestly legendary. It built a massive, cold, medieval world filled with political maneuvering, war, and family feuds. The plot was bold, the characters were so vibrant, and with anyone potentially dying at any moment, the constant plot twists were insane. The production value was top tier, the battle scenes were mind-blowing, and the score and cinematography were basically movie quality. The only real letdown was the rushed ending of the 8th season, but that doesn't stop it from being an epic masterpiece for so many fans. I'd give it an overall S. The fifth one is House of Cards, a landmark show that really put Netflix on the map. The first season was absolute perfection, with an IMDb rating of 8.6. It tells the story of a cunning, calculated politician named Francis Joseph Underwood, who schemes his way to the top by any means necessary. The pacing is tight, the dialogue is razor-sharp, and the political games are top-notch. The lead actor's performance is powerful, and the show is dark and realistic, exposing the hypocrisy and brutality of politics. Unfortunately, the quality dipped in the later seasons as the plot got more and more far-fetched. Combined with the controversies surrounding the lead actor, it ended up having a pretty weak finale. Still, the first few seasons are incredible. It's an unmissable classic in the political thriller genre. I'd give it an overall A. The sixth one is Spartacus, House of Usher, which holds a 6.6 on IMDb. It premiered in late 2025, and thanks to its connection to the original Spartacus series, there was massive hype before it even launched. As a spin-off of a legendary IP, longtime fans were really looking forward to it, but it turned out to be a total disaster. The show tried to replicate that classic blend of bloody, visceral violence and political maneuvering, but the writing just couldn't pull it off. The world building was a mess, the pacing was a drag, and there was way too much filler. What should have been intense combat and drama ended up feeling flat and boring. It failed to hook new viewers and completely let down the hardcore fans. It is a classic case of relying too much on nostalgia rather than substance, and the quality didn't live up to the hype at all. I have to give it an F. The seventh one is Westworld, which has an 8.4 on IMDb. When the first season dropped, it blew everyone's minds. The whole theme of AI waking up was so smart and profound, the script was incredibly tight, and the plot twists were constant. The cinematography and the high-concept ideas were top-tier, and the score was composed by the absolute legend Ramin Djawadi, the same genius behind Game of Thrones, Prison Break, and Pacific Rim. Unfortunately, starting from the second season, the show got way too caught up in trying to be clever for the sake of being clever. It kept opening plot holes it never filled, and it felt like they were making things confusing just to make the audience think hard. The later seasons dragged, the logic started to fall apart, and viewers were left scratching their heads before it finally fizzled out. It had a god-tier premise and a legendary start, but the writing eventually killed it. It's the ultimate example of a show that started as a masterpiece and went downhill. I'll give it a B. The eighth one is Better Call Saul, the spin-off of Breaking Bad, holding a 9.0 on IMDb. It tells the story of how Jimmy, a small-time con man, slowly transforms into the slick and shady lawyer we know as Saul. The pacing is on the slower side, but the attention to detail is incredible, and the way it captures the characters' internal struggles and desperation is just masterful. There's no cheap drama or gimmicks here, it's carried entirely by a rock-solid script and some legendary acting. It's not just about one person's fate, it's about the compromises and the persistence of ordinary people in the real world. The ending is artistic and profound, perfectly tying back into Breaking Bad. It's a slow burn that hits you hard and stays with you long after it's over. It's a top-tier masterpiece, so I give it an S. The ninth one is Breaking Bad, with an IMDb rating of 9.5. Its reputation even surpasses Game of Thrones. It is widely considered the absolute ceiling of American television worldwide. It follows a regular high school chemistry teacher who, after being diagnosed with a terminal illness, decides to turn into a kingpin to provide for his family. The most brilliant part of the show is how hauntingly realistic the character development is. There are no absolute good guys or bad guys, every choice feels completely logical. The script is airtight and the lead actor, Bryan Cranston, delivers a performance for the ages. From start to finish, there are basically no flaws. The rarest thing about it is that it sticks the landing perfectly, no dragged-out plotlines, no weak finale. Whether you're talking about the depth of the story, the character arcs, or the pacing, it hits the absolute highest standard of TV. You can watch it over and over and always pick up new details. It is truly a work of art that belongs in film and television textbooks. Overall, a solid S. That's all for today's list. What do you guys think? Let me know your take in the comments section. See you next time, bye.